Are you burned out on religious things? Are you burned out on religious things? Are you burned out on religious things? Are you worn down, lacking inner peace? Take a real rest. Walk along with me in the pastures of my presence. You can be yourself and you can say what's on your heart. I already know it all. Doesn't matter what you say. Come and get away with me. I know where you are, where you've been, what you've seen. Doesn't matter how you come. Come and get away with me. Get away with me. Are you burdened from all the heavy days? It's not your job to shoulder all the weight. Let me do it. Let me come and take the lies you've been believing in. The truth is that you have a place to say what's on your heart. I already know it all. Doesn't matter what you say. Come and get away with me. I know where you are, where you've been, what you've seen. Doesn't matter how you come. Come and get away with me. Oh, get away with me. Get away with me. Grace upon grace, let it lead. Get away with me. Grace upon grace, let it lead. Get away with me. Grace upon grace, let it lead. Get away with me. Oh, there's more than you always need. Oh, grace upon grace, let me lead. Get away with me. Say what's on your heart. I already know it all. Doesn't matter what you say. Come and say it all to me. I know where you've been, what you've seen. Doesn't matter
The
how
moonlight
you
and undoing of the questions to the silence of the answer, with the eyes of the language of the softest moonlight, undressed my disguise to the gaze, and I become the tether for the wearer, for the woven over the celestial threads that burst passion for the dancing in between us and the starlight grounds ahead.
get away.
Was said for the soaking of me, for the you can really see for the neediness and the up and away for the ups are good, for the remind me again the downs are coming, and the message too that you can find what's off the line to look to resemble the shape of your face. In every detail, the trace of every freckle in line for the ever rising of the intimacy, over the every detail for the feeling of freckle over the yoga elixir for the temporary sanity for the apply to me for the legally explain my impulse, this reaction to life for the lived and true, for the untied and true, for the game of sympathy, for the you can have the human interaction, for the grading scale, for the condemning of the being natural, for the ability to instill the fear, for the man, for the proving in the love, for the protection, and for the what you find the innocence, for the real redemption of the present, for the created, for the brethren, for the innocent, for the turned warrior, for the shadows and cell of the rebirth. What for lies in is the truth, and for the dust that leaves the also speak for me. The abuse of power, practice, tried and true, for the to the souls and continues to bleed into the hopes of true justice and God. Promising to overcrack this massive black like a broken glass. This perhaps that for the hell of me at all. For the war beside the pain, for the perhaps that turned into the longer go with it, the disbelief for the feeling, the fed myself for the life, and ever the watching you for me for the see the graph for the ankle ever man. The clever mask you bake the selfish roots beneath your smile for the never that you can find a lady who needs closeness and never the welcoming or the nearness and already know the truth for the guardian for the mirror, the longing over the lips of that hate to God. And asking for strength to cut the thread for the keep my words, keep my work. Keep the peace, passing you over the road for the belonging to see you every day for the can't find the rising within for the quiet prayer in my lips and the mind, the behind the found the vision of the beyond inducing for the stop beyond the find the real mind, the free. And an owl for the nest, this universe sitting on the tree for this to be, and all the passion flower for the protein sent by the birthday, or the day for the dish find the toppling over yourself for the pillowing over the faded of white. Preparing yourself for the great fall, for the angelic wings and feathering and the fall for the perpetrators of tomorrow's time, frolicking by the frail fingers and the nibbling over the head, for the healing over the slipping away, for the having a wave goodbye, for this chiseling over the grinding of the stone. A rosewater calculation arranged by someone who refused to leave the symmetry for the dance in their chins, and just to find the distorting each petal for the to the shape of the never meant to be. And can love be forever for not the kind of rhetorical question taught in movies in life untouched. This is final study for the wounds and the weight for the bone, the being human for the fading of the sparks to quiet the passion, bending under the pressure for the building of the distance for the tired of mornings and sleepless night for love changing fire and amber for the something softer that doesn't fade. Looks like love at all for the choosing and the choosing. It'd be different for the choosing, forever for the decision for the cracks, the spout, the smooth, the someone's skin for the front of the sharp edges for the reaching for the someone's hand for the strum that will make you unrecognizable for the again you can round the game. Pressure never goes away for the just the same for the goals, quiet. The pages of the books that for me refuse to find a word that listen to wonder for the word the journey is to pulling me under. And the surviving of the darkest night for the fountains to stay alive for the breath that I took for the clinging to hope. But this is the trials and tribulation, the weather for the storm. Hear the earth for the greater than myself, the force beyond control, the deep in the soul for the shredding and make it whole with the crime and the mountains of the despair for the trudging over the dew valleys deep for the swarming and the rivers of the uncertainty for the ones who weep. I stood in the tall face of fear for the spirit unbidden for the never thought it was much more than life the worth of defending for the standing here to proud survivor through the known. Face demons and conquer fears and emerging anew. I carry me scars of battle for the reminder to fight for those learning one thing the long light for the surviving and the never giving in for the never pushing forward for no matter where you've been for the strength that we find ourselves at the survival of the grand sign. Heirs of the earth for the levels of the stars for the air for the steady for the stone for the soil for the garden for the hands of the earth for the run for the sun for the roots of the holding me steady for the unsound the outside the frame the pushing through the into the state the visitor for the return for the state the hold to the 300 thoughts that come to the mind for the children life for the story for the dream to be loved for the ascension for the companion compassion the truth true and pause when it comes to me for the hands that turn empty for the chest that doesn't find my voice the conviction for the thunder to myself. whispers of the fading, for the revealing of the place, the darkness and night, the revealing of the place. For the whispers of the fading, for the revealing of the place of the darkness and night. Heart to unite for the vines of the connector, for the trees and for this peaceful dance. It's just you and me. Guilty by association for the imagination. The man who walks into the mother for the feeling like the hammers with the start punching over your face. For the guilt by the association you can find light. Hope it's the double the barrel shotgun for the both, for the motivator for the destruction, for the destructive anchor for your sunrise to cause the coexistence in your head. Forgiveness and the carrying the weight for the hatred, for the what's dragging the anchor for the through the noon, the rooms of your life, for the long ass shadows, and you can find the media still has played a role of the entity on the earth. I do not hate you for the one to be the privilege to earn that kind of energy. Not for this unconscious, for the pulling an iron over the magnet, for the wings of this ascension over the flame. But this is just the enigma. But the lure for the what it goes to give, pouring into everything for the what you feel, the hollow for the rain, for the dry well, for the pour the cup, and for the water to sink into your hands. The price of love for the rich and comes to our lives. You can wish this, forgive, or the flip the switch instead of the flickering. The bitter baby drama for the baby mama, for the wood you bullseye on the back, for the what if I hate to follow, for the never the mother, for the sin of the stone, for the whistling of the roasting yourself, for the storms I carry. Whirlwind, no shutter to cover for the choice I make, couldn't yet see the depth of beauty. I can like the echoes of the crashing on me for the protecting of what was broken, for the carriage of the people of the storm, for the angers denying access to, for the never to something deeply, for the felt like sacrifice, for the kiss of the gesture, for the offering of upon the altar. For the pretty pleas of the hidden, the poetry was pleased, the displeased vanishing of the return. Disappear for the wild, for the new was the where she went, for the consistency, for the never the style, for the but you run through the night, for the recognition, for the have to thank you, for the what the tenderness in the finger, raising a chin, or nobody loves me, or nobody loves Jesus back to the realize nobody loves in the way they think he did, or think they did, for the what you had, or what you shift the steam, the heart for the broken promises, for the heavy the lies of the dash, for the dishonesty. There's so much more. Why is this feeling and the unsettling in the score? Strange place that I've never been, for the call of the hands of this crawling act, for the chaos of the conscious and scenes, unless the lunch table in school, beating of what you dream. What seems to be the gentle strokes of the sunbeams carry rest, singing over your blossom in the shores of woods that impair the shadows. You curse within the rejuvenation for the word the stars of this once was, for the grounding of the earth, for the mind over the mentally, finding the truth in what it feels to be like a curse. This can be the rot. The spell is nothing perfectly for the strange and new neighbor. Seem to captain for the what goodbyes are. Seem tread for the flames of the betrayal. Some have a cloud. Put it to glow the star for the ceiling of the glow. For this would be the spinning of the night for the childhood dream. Or the some of the rest, stress, desperation for the understanding of what sustains the conversation, their touch. Sleep, seek underneath the deep. Crashing worlds collide. Storm's anger begins to rise. Hold me close and you to tiny vessel for the analytically correct. This is constant noise. Whispering every analytical choice and observing the endless impossibility for the non-stop action. The formula of resistance, and this is a blueprint for the breathing and the life by God. For this is somebody to save me, please, the SOS. And this grave me over the way that you made me, over the cedar, for the gray color, for the purpose of the paper, over the writing of the harsh and shattered words, along with the thoughtless streams in your name. And among the wet storm, that this be the clouds holding the reflections of the puddles of the reality, for the tearly embrace the words of the bow yet glistening. Paris paradox and no space for art for the chance to win, for this advantage for the what you call society. A God state. Slip out of the smallest of the soul, me for the fear of the guilt, for the bowing low, for the secrets to start to forget the key for the covering of the gold, but in the knowing for the need to change, this is things I abstain. We need to move where the justice is sustained, for the domestic refuge in the streets of thinner for the hairs and lead us to the peace that oppress me. And sounded a positive window for the crunching of it, but you had the culture for the dead clothes and this business moon. Bitter about me for the treating myself in the unforgiving words too. I am that I am at the beginning, the skies and at the end, for the breath of the broke, the galaxies and the motion, for the silence that existed, for the before they learned it was my name. Or what my name was, the watcher beyond the thought, for the pulse that never dies, at the throne of the storms, the stillness of the sun that burns into the shadows and the cast, and every death of every what did I was in another birth for the ever the doorway, with the own rising of the one 2,000 faces, love of the center for the healer, for the fool, or each one dissolving to the fire for the remembrance of them holding for the all of them me. I'm the whisper that turns the chaos into the cosmos, the breath into the folding of the time, for the paper, the eye, the see through the illusion, for the smiles of the dream, that you cannot name me. For names are cages and I am the wind, for the breaks them. You cannot define me, for I am the infinite, for the pretended to be finite, for this is just long enough to feel the wonder, for the what that I am, for this no more than no less to the light, for the void, the same breath, for the eternal mirror, the reflecting itself through.
Thank y'all for real, man. For real. Y'all alright? Yeah. We gonna keep it live in here today. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we ain't gonna, this ain't gonna be dry lecture, you know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna get into it. We gonna do some things. We gonna keep it pop. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be just going.
Through the silence, whimpering, the frail, they saw the life of the back's bar interfere with the second curtain, jaded. Extraordinary life of the running of the sands polished and ladies passing for the third time, waved to cool down the manhunt, strictly for the delicate, for the suffocation to the fountain filth. Lord in heaven for the many words to keep penetrating the harvest, for the maybe to do the memorable job for you, the less kill anywhere, for the leading in the trance beyond the parenthesis, for the this another chosen spider for the glory, for the who knows that what could be the room for the member in front of you, for the many different windows to look out of, and you have the real talk, but I'm just not if you for the speak up for yourself, for this is not victory since prediction is defined with the midnight moon, make up a word for you to have to finally come to please, forgotten where their graves are found, cards on the table for the ashes slip through the fingers and never forgot who they were, for the mental, for the paranoia to speak to keepers, this effect upon the glaciers, and this is all the gift of my curse, grew strong wings to the heart, started to transform. See the beauty in the flaws at the center of the core. Found a new sound in my voice and not to find who I was before. For the gift in your curse and to the light in the shadows to the star with the cool. Even though my change is shackle. It's to see the art in the war. For the each still the tough battle for the blossom through the storm. With the torn, the band damaged panels. And just to see the gift of the curse. This is for the both of the strength of the weakness of the broken. Remember for the beautiful. Shattered to pieces when you conquered the lands inside of my mind and God. This is me the only witness in the deep within the depth. Destruction over the discovery for their own greatness to see the gift of the curse, and even though it's not a perfect present over the heart sings proud, deep with every beat of passion, deep dark bottom discovered for the good within the life lessons. I used to see rain, but now I see the stars, count the blessings, and maybe I could go farther with the incarnation of the words that escape my lips far brighter for the image that beneath your figure aloud to be out, lighting for the soul to be agonization. Or agonizing for the heart, self-reflection for the past flaws, and counting each one for the calling of itself. Unseen path, feet planted here, hard as a stone. Ever stand for the reason to find behind for this a single thought and constant in my mind.
Hey lady, can I say something to you for a minute?
Find torn, this is king.
Please.
Thought in this
No, now. Before you.
Beyond years, this found the unsung melody for the treasure for the left behind the olden times. It's this nervous man. But wondering what they did wrong, fragile and never the searching for. Blind, but in the room for the red. What you can have for the just dread, just benefit for the heavy the pieces, and be for the reaching over the pieces, and you for the you can have the writing of the 100 poems and the 1,000 words for even to find a love for you.
Get down. New York streets with the walk like
this is what you love to pray or beg for the wood and know what you find, no matter what. But the mishappening, know what your voice is dripping, your poison for the yet is there in the body for this administration.
Rolling up another Switzerland.
When I dream of fairy tales, and she came with the same type.
The thresholds of the heart. Bird with so many uncentered designs, whatever the evil or good ones that you can find, it couldn't make it the final destination for the you can be. Words like the part for master for the grafted and the graphic, hieroglyphics, scientific for the predictive for the only heavily scanned transcripts, this visit for the some contingents. The thresholds of the heart, burb with so many uncentered desires, whatever the evil or good ones that you can find it couldn't make it the final destination for the you can be. Words like the part for the master for the grafted and the graphic, hieroglyphics, scientific for the predictive for the only heavily scanned transcripts, this visit for the some contingents. All of that on the counter for the spaceship or whatever the family planet even. For the more advantage for your source of the high classification for your day, for the possibilities for the overthrown, get all for the instant expression for the tooling existence and the words that are like the part of the name. The fridge or hums a quiet warning to remembering the footsteps of the dappling of the sunlight for what you remain. Behold abandoned, such is life it had been. Cold enough to walk down the crooked code for the silence of the story for the never told for the night back. Stars out of line, the glass ceiling of the fears you don't feel become limitations for the ruling of asking someone to stay, returning to yourself, the warmth of the sunlight after the shivering in the desolate cave, with the sight for the life of the invisible voice that echoed the ready to roar, the line of the truth, the greed for the enticing and the undesired, unknown. Envy, joy to the bone, for the wrath of the blind eye consumes the heart. The sloths whisper the rest of the bandit decline for the gluttony of the feasting or the forgetting time for the burning of the fast and the fleeting flame for the seven shadows of the hunting of my night. An unseen horror for cursed edges of the night for the silence that thicken your breath and not your own. Walls lean near every step of the multiplies dark. Vanishing yak for the quiet, quieter, when even the walls stop listening for the ceiling that doesn't judge me in. A million voices talking to each other for none of them makes sense. This is fun to have to listen, not that doesn't matter for anymore. For the whispered and mistakes back to you, for the only voice screams back for this to sign up for you, for the own regrets, for the forgetting how to breathe, for this to vanish, or how to survive, for the noise of the stare of the trees and never the stare of the water, for this to be the fire, for the pretending of the flames of the demons inside of your chest, for this to argue with yourself. Voice within, never be without. Another last for the tribe, for another, for the untitled. Reading every day for the youth we find the price of the lead. Possessed for the humankind, for the present, for the coexisting, and for the echoes of the hunting at every step of this is all. Fragments of heaven, for the heaven and one to claim, for the only broad life of the slips to the hands and the life of this truly been to live, for the passing through for the question. Carrying over the outliving of me. For the knowing of the save our souls for the hidden, for the truth, for this find the day, for the time, for the come, for the strips of the red, and what's ringing throughout the lands of the sun, for the disappear the moon, for the merging of the one, for the earth, for the returning to none, for the innocent eye of you, for the knowledge of the lost, for the high to climb inside of yourself, for the big pain will cost this a wee walk. Mirrors trapped to the cage fuel for the burnt exhausting, the knowing and the unknown. The end of the day, fear for the inner self, for the sitting with the everyday, for the needs to be the raw undone. Look at the sea for the what you see, or not for the drowning, for the ripe, for the rig, for the real, for the each person, for the strolling of the green, for the blue planet, for the flapping of the moon, for the final hope. 10. Wait, but she was the winter wind for the singing through her thoughts, tender, sting, or the breaking up the arc, for the daily apart for the waking, this final sleep. Endless and there's nothing good for this. Got to be a piece of cake for never to been eaten for the sun and night thoughts. Trust, sideway compass over your daylight tell the room. Quiet, honest, leaves, nothing heavy. You're a perfect narcissist. This the way to work to find the version of yourself, not to hate for the born winds. Soul will stick here for the choking on it, for the underneath for the butterscotch and the lies of the something surprisingly similar for the hope of this to find it neglect me for not forget. beautiful before the time that you got me, for the entitled stars be sibling over the eternal thing, for the remember the reinstating over the what you find the rest least. Planted a tree without the natural thief. What a fiend to find a whip for this not alone for the you were. So not for the breaking into the rhythm, but the seething over the tears and entrapping yourself for the energy to realistic, for realize the time to find the transit this release. Blueprints of this defeat, slapping at the times with a laughter stitch for you. Both of us a critique. Never the picture for the heading, for the tilted sleeping against that shoulder, for the breathing and the time, for the keep yourself with the time and with. Folded into each other for the souls to be melted, for the with the mingling of the merging over the invisible, for the enough to be summoned to.
Hello, good evening, Spur Change. Let me get something to eat. Thank you, have a good evening. Hola, buenas tardes. Cambio para ayudarme.
Please stand clear. The doors are closing.
Gracias, que Dios los bendiga. Pasen buenas tardes. Spur Change, let me get something to eat. Thank you, have a good evening. Cambio para ayudarme a algo de comer, por favor. Gracias, que Dios los bendiga. Pasen buenas tardes. Spur Change, please. Cambio para ayudarme a algo de comer. Thank you. God bless you. Have a good evening. For change, please. Cambio para ayudarme a ganar algo de comer. Thank you. Have a good evening. Good evening. For change, thank you. Have a good evening. Hola, buenas tardes. Cambio para ayudarme a ganar algo de comer. Gracias. Que Dios los bendiga. Buenas tardes. For change, please. Cambio para ayudarme a ganar algo de comer.
Rotate the weight, the queen, the bishop of the brook, the night, the gloomy clouds to prevail for the conscious light, the cosmic, for the astronaut walking over your catching of the crosshair, for the whiffing over your melancholy, for the definition of the pain, but I'm fine to soothe. Used to be that, for the used to be the push for the tummy, for the bit for the air, for the might not be funny enough to laugh. This is the extreme and over the way to be between is ecstasy to be twisted, apathetic for the euphoria, for the damning expression. With the depression for the breath of wrong, you do for the right, for the knife, the holding too much weight, for the specting, for the too much tonight, for I find a passion for the project. A ground if it should be obsessive for the preventative care for the slave, or sob over the scratching over your spite, or whatever the tip of the tumbling over the floor for the become the clouds. So this boy I find here, we're here for the words in you glow. And the embers of the flame to catch fire spreading in the melody over the defining fixing of the thing for the angles of the cute enough for the fine spite for the help of enough to hear now hurt. Thousands of me for the hate, the truth, now for the duality, for the handle, the reality, for the reason, for your excuse, or perhaps that find and failed to begin with, or a mind who refuses to never leave, the can't find a captain for the body, for the became the puppet for the first time you find the else pawn, or the spawn for this divide patio, vibes in your mouth, find the autumn air for the drooling of the bounce, you chest. Find the fingers of the hair for the quicken, the sound, the crickets, and nobody cares. The sinking with the heartbeat for the man, for the whispers, for the sweetly talked into your sword, the stone for this a coat. Make it gasp, but find a chill for this, a reaching for you, the one for the anoint me after your flaps, this a worship with every curve for your body, for this to be the body and for the serving. And I can no longer remember the temper over your voice, so this remember the imprints of your fingertips, this a never found and never found. New found for the absence for your love, now I mean for this and now. To feel the forgetting over the moving on for this and now. Always been a time capsule for descending a time for this to be space, this show that everything is now that there is a novel about me for the starting to describe them to the favorite color for the favorite is mine. And I'm not a color for the forever, for the be the only tiny space this for the inside of the warm embracing of your shadow. The stroke for the better, for the moment, the heart to be cold for this Game of Thrones, or the throne to be a game for the I am, for the never the final. Rotate the weight, the queen, the bishop, the brook, the night, the gloomy clouds to prevail for the conscious light, the cosmic, for the astronaut walking over your catching of the crosshair, for the whiffing over your melancholy, for the definition of the pain, but I'm fine to soothe. Used to be that, for the used to be the push of the tummy, for the bit for the air, for the might not be funny enough to laugh. This is the extreme and over the way to be between is ecstasy to be twisted, apathetic for the euphoria, for the damning expression, with the depression for the breath of wrong, you for the right, for the knife, the holding too much weight, for the specting, for the too much tonight, for I find a passion for the project. The ground if it should be obsessive for the preventative care for the slave, sob over the scratching over your spite, or whatever the tip of the tumbling over the floor for the become the clouds. So this boy I find here, we're here for the words in you glow. And the embers of the flame to catch fire spreading in the matter for the defining fixing of the thing for the angles of the cute enough for the fine spite for the help of enough to hear now hurt. Thousands of me for the hate, the truth now for the duality, for the handle, the reality, for the reason, for your excuse, perhaps that find and failed to begin with, or a mind who refuses to never leave, the can't find a captain for the body, for the became the puppet for the first time you find the else pawn, or the spawn for this divide patio, vibes in your lungs, find the autumn air for the drooling of the bounce, you chest. Find the fingers of the hair for the quicken, the sound, the crickets, and nobody cares. The sinking with the heartbeat for the man, for the whispers, for the sweetly talked into your sword, the stone for this a coat. Make it gasp, but find a chill for this a reaching for you, the one for the anoint me after your flaps, this a worship with every curve in your body, for this to be the body and for the serving. And I can no longer remember the temper over your voice, this remember the imprints of your fingertips, this a never found and never found. New found for the absence for your love, now I mean for this and now. To feel the forgetting over the moving on for this and now. Always been a time capsule for descending in time for this to be space, this show that everything is now that there is a novel about me, for the starting to describe them to the favorite color, for the favorite is mine. And I'm not a color for the forever, for the meaning it's only tiny space, this for the inside of the warm embracing of you. Shadow. The stroke for the better, for the moment, the heart to be cold, for this Game of Thrones, or the throne to be a game, for the I am, for the never the final feeling of the what you find. Snorting there for the this to be the sniffing of it, what you sick now for the unchaining of it yourself, for the breathing, the moving, the liberating yourself, for the feet, for the may I run from you. You're born into lifetimes to get endless revelry. You're guided by the system booms of your intimidating life, at the focus on the bottom of ships, this whips, this cracked over the through the knife of the drinking over your darkness in the show called you out by name, or lifetimes and I wasted undying for the feet of the cocoon, for the
knees and anchor to your wrist, and this is scattered dreams of the returning of the bad kiss. This which the slips went for the fruits to just cry, to just review your pleasure for the begging of a weaker to stay for this friends and still. Remember the spirits of the spirit and remembers too vividly of the feeling of what you find skin to play. It was just a kid at play. For the petals of the morning light, for the gentle breeze of sight, for the petals of bloom, for the tender, for the fleeting grace, and your hue, for the dancing beneath that sapphire sky, for the fragile, for the dreams of dear, the dare to embrace of your turn to love. For the beautiful, the way, for the unique way, for the I am, for the hands not feel the reaching, for the scratching of the eye, creeping into your lungs and possess them, for the breathing and crack your skull, to find screaming in time, look at them. Cold bones can't make one home this home, the hurt halls, this and arrow to the roaming of what you find stolen years and disperse in another ether. It was the ether for the plenty of that. Stolen mirror for the biggest of the mistake for the actually ever had, for the heart still knows this breathing to pulling away for the where I'm from, for still the sample of a flower for the moving of yourself to the deep key to life. The penning of fingertips over your soul, for the rending of the color, for the exact revenge, for the gunshot wound, for this is all the what punches to play, for the tic-tac-toe, unlock yourself at the bird within the cage. Across the gaze of eyes and twisted lines and smiles at me for the finding of where I'm hidden. It was the last stream. It was the letter for the lust of wonder, for the merciless of the night, for the nested need to feel to find the veils of false dawn, find the remaining consistent, for the fairly intellectual, for the abnormal, for the affectionate, for the dead to become. Spending in the time for the hand in hand, for the walk in the line, for the moonshine, the heartache, for the bottle, for the spoon to find the neon sign of the shaking, for the crown of thorns, and the soon to find the teeth to grin. Yet the grin for the bleeding lips of the velvet red, for the yumming of the tummy, for the power, for the electrical issue, for the being to find the electrifying the energy, flickering the light, for the thought I lost of the staring at the sun, for the light, for the artificial to me, for the not really, for the knowing of the universal laugh. You're worried about the thought. Play it for you, play it for me, for the deeper the two, the night trembles on you're unholy, for the hemming of the magnesium, or this to be the tag. Sweating over your vitals and the gun feeling over your gut. The gut feeling for the anti-depression, for the hiding yourself, for this the soul's all fine for veils of this is not untrue, for the fragile, for the unstained by the voice. The queen, the bishop of the brook, the night, the gloomy clouds to prevail for the conscious light, the cosmic, for the astronaut walking over your catching of the crosshair, for the whiffing over your melancholy, for the definition of the pain, but I'm swallow the mouse's hole. With that river for the valley to thirst to piss back to the oasis of the circles and circumstances to lean on, the kickstand, the stadium, the soccer van, the maniac, the mandatory for the mannerism, for the manufacturing.
Maneuvers in the mannequin stretched up the naked truth closed over your cover up with the bodyguard. Key to lock the doors to open up a window both sides of the wood to be defined. The wood, no one knocks, just find a missed notification for the letting in, for the explanation of an X. Chromosome for the Chromebook, for the computer, for the complicating and the troubleshooting, and for the gun control. Gumptions, the forest and the bubble for the shrimp. On the bottom floor, the bowl, the pigs, the pirate, the board, poor boy, sandwich over the beach to find a beach pail to look over your lunch. Pale, Columbus, we're not going to talk about. For the making a circle to never, to shake the picture for the worth, 1,000 words, the words, the weapons, of the weeping, the cry. Christ, this must be Christ every time I cry. For the resurrection, for the result, for the deforestation of the tissue, for the anticipating for your small underneath. Your magnifying glass to burn them just to see. Close up to the micro, the macro machine, for the wash to the tide, for the cover of the naked truth, for you're fresh enough to be wrinkled. Rip can see under the tree, the napkin for the sleeping room, for your dream. RNA for the REM, for the DNA, for the alleviate. Fully your mouth for the filling of the divine, for the violating of your time zones, for the validation of your nation, the moon over your sun, to preparation of sunrise, to set the horizon for the alpha. Omega the earth for the planet, the stars, and make it over the shining in the night for the doubt. Over the doubt for the darkness and never to happen to be the reason for the just setting me over the anchor for the stagnant impermanent for the evaluation and for the noticeable. Concluded enough for the innate integrity for the inevitability of it, over the feast to be fiend, around to find the humble, over the former for the former energy for the matter, black light to be negative for the picture for the worse and worse memories of the photosynthesis for the thesis over your perpendicular color for the global field to be light. The crown. Or the bills of field, the Bill Gates to find a feed, to find what's this. Controlling the population. Or are you fallen angel for the matter of thinking you're subconscious for the taking, for the thinking and the negative for the positive life, for the conscious for the allow you to see the water for the womb. Or what's the sea for the water, the darkness for the eyes closed. Or see the melody for the melancholy for the joy, that just be the questions and reasons, the words, that just find the balance and understanding for the adaptation for your seasons and all for the sea. Or cosmic as a child that came home soon, is disconnected distantly for the distant. Proportionate passing for the time to open for the law of gravity, for despite that we all grow up. What was that mutually for eventually every body. Find formula, all is one for the blind witness and witness that been mistaken over your point. Off the point of finger, not the light. The point of finger for the words to get your point across like the top of cathedrals and never to find a cross. Or alcohol is lost to find the injury for the falling and scrape on the ground for the finding the expectation of your adventure for the mind of perception to make an ass out of you. Discussions in the mind, discuss the point, discuss this. Moving around the point, the distant more than the present day, for you can find a compass. Synonymous to the harmonious waiting for the ohms and ahs to come back in for the expectation blindsided for the remind me of the time for the side about I can find it was decided by the behind. Waiting the time for the journals before we were born. We were determined for the fear of the unknown, for the appreciate the outer terminals, for the I didn't think that we can make a mistake for the truth and learning. The value of the DNA for the blindsided me over the, what you thought it was to come into distance for the present, finding harmony. Disaster, tested for your intense intent, for your internalizing it, for your human beings being human. Da-da-da-da. Swallow the mountains whole. With that river for the valley to thirst to piss back to the oceans, to the circles and circumstances to lean. Swallow the mountains whole. With that river for the valley to thirst to piss back to the oceans, to the circles and circumstances to lean. Lean on the kickstand, the stadium, the soccer van, the maniac, the mandatory for the mannerism, for the manufactor. Maneuvers in the mannequins dressed up, the naked truth clothes over your cover up with the bodyguard. Key to lock the doors to open up the window, both sides of the wood to be find a wooden one knocks. Just find a missing notification for the letting in, for the explanation of X. Chromosome for the Chromebook, for the computer, for the complicating and the troubleshooting, and for the gun control. Gumptions, the force and the bubble for the shrimp. On the bottom floor, the bowl, the pigs, the pirate, the poor, Roy sandwich over the beach, find a beach pale, look over your lunch. Pale, Columbus. We're not gonna talk about. For the making a circle to never to shake the picture for the worth, 1,000 words, the words, the weapons of the weeping, the cry. Christ, this must be Christ every time I cry. For the resurrection, for the reason, for the deforestation of the tissue, for the anticipating for your small underneath. Your magnifying glass to burn them just to see. Close up to the micro, the macro machine, for the wash to the tide, for the cover of the naked truth, for you're fresh enough to be regal. Grip can see under the tree, the napkin for the sleeping room, for your dream. RNA for the REM, for the DNA, for the alleviate. Full of your mouth for the filling of the divine, for the violating of your time zones, for the validation of your nation, the moon over your sun's generation. Sunrise to set the horizon for the alpha. Omega the earth for the planet, the stars, and make it over the shining in the night for the doubt. Over the doubt for the darkness and never to happen to be the reason for the just enemy. Over the anchor for the stagnant and permanent, for the evaluation of the notice. Concluded enough for the innate integrity, for the inevitability of it. Over the feast to be fiend, divine to find the humble rebuttal. Over the formula for the form of energy, for the mattering of a black light. To be negative for the picture, for the worse and worse memories, to the photosynthesis for the thesis over your perpendicular color, for the chlorophyll to be light. The chrome, or the bills of view, the Bill Gates to find the feed, to find what's this. Controlling the population. For the matter, but thinking your subconscious for the taking, for the thinking and the negative, for the positive life, for the conscious, for the allow you to see the water for the womb, or what's the sea for the water, the darkness, for the eyes closed, or see the melody for the melancholy, for the joy, that just be the questions and reads the words, to find a balance and understanding, for the adaptation, for the seasons and all but the sea. Or cosmic as a child that came from sun, is disconnected distantly for the distant. Proportionate passing for the time, the orbit for the law, the gravity, but despite that we all grow up. Like mutually, eventually every body find formula, all is one for the blind witness and witness that been mistaken over your point. Off the point of finger, not the light, the point of finger for the words to get your point across like the top of cathedrals and never to find a cross. Or alcoholics lost to find an injury for the falling and scraping the ground, for the finding the expectation for your adventure, for the mind perception to make an ass out of you. Discussions in the top, find discuss the find discuss this. Moving around the point, the distant more than the present day, for you can find a compass. Synonymous to the harmonious ways for the ohms and ahs to come back to, for the expectation blind sighted, for the remind me of the time, for the sight about I can find it was decided by about by. Waiting a time for the journals before we were born. We were eternal for the fear of the unknown, for the appreciate the outer terminals, over the I to think that we can make a mistake for the truth and learning. The value of the DNA, for the blind side of me, over the what you thought it was to come into distance, for the present, find the omni. Potent, disaster, indigested for your intense intent, for your internalizing of your human beings being human. Da 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 da. You're slaughtering. Da 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 da. Don't be a contingent to your genocide. The blind witness. Witness the wit. Or the slowly but surely adaptation. Sheep to the slaughterhouse over your patience, over your white meat. Or the other patience behind that swap meat.